Well, we're in Michigan Stadium, and I got to say that's one of the most dispiriting losses I've ever seen this program take in 26 years of doing this. It ranks up there with a handful of games most of them against Michigan and Ohio State. One, a couple against Michigan State. That was brutal.
You know, I think everyone thought the defense was going to get gashed even before the injuries.
Yeah.
The really discouraging part was the offense scoring 10 points. The offense has to be the strength of this team if they're going to have any chance against some athletic teams. They did some things against Pitt. They could not. This defense just swarmed them the whole game. Other than Saquon Barkley, no one really made a play. And I just think that moving forward in the Big Ten season, to get to 500, Dave, or even above 500, I think it's going to be tough for this team.
Yeah, they're going to have to get in gear real quick, that offense, because the defense now we have a complete catastrophic situation at linebacker, and they can't be expected to stop anybody of any quality.
Yeah, to me, some numbers that stand out. Pitt, they gave up 341 rushing yards. Today they gave up 326. I know there were some injuries. Dave, the number that's going to jump out at me is in the Pitt and Michigan losses, this defense gave up 12 red zone touchdowns combined in 12 red zone possessions. 12 for 12. They can't get off the field. They don't tackle well. You saw Jim Harbaugh today. He went for it just about every time on fourth down.
Why not?
Yeah. And they got almost everything on fourth and third down. Penn State just can't get off the field on defense, and it's only going to get worse with the injuries.
Yeah, and we're only a third of the way through the season.
Yeah.
What could happen with this situation with the linebacking layer? And another thing is they're probably not going to see a back four like Michigan's on offense. Yeah. So both of those two things. I don't know. There should be some hope coming up in the next two games.
The coaching staff and Trace and all these guys, Trace McSorley, they have to get more aggressive on offense. Yeah. They have to score a minimum of 30 to 35 points to try and win games. And slow starts, you can just forget about it. If they're going to start slow, they're not going to win any games.
I think they probably were going to try some ball control and thought they could run more than they actually ended up running. And then they never took any shots deep, but actually they didn't have a lot of time to take shots deep. Yeah. And I think Trace got into some situations where he was getting a little bit of pressure and he thought he would just try to scramble, just try to get at him. These guys were too quick. They were too quick. They pounced on him. It was a very bad situation. I compare it to, what could happen is the 03 season here. Yeah. That's what we're looking at. We're looking at maybe a 3-9, and then I don't have to tell you what could happen out of that. But this reminded me a lot of the 33-11 game against Michigan right here in 03, which really wasn't that close. It was 33-3. It was a lot like that game, just a complete annihilation.
One final thing for me, the talent deficit is very real. They're now, Franklin and Penn State are now 0-7 against the Big Three. Other than the 31-24 game 2 years ago in Beaver Stadium, the games have not really been all that competitive. I don't know when this talent gap is gonna narrow. Other than Saquon Barkley, there was no one on the Penn State team that could have started for Michigan.
And certainly on defense, there's nobody you got to account for. They're just trying to survive out there. They're just trying to survive, and it's not like you have to worry about anyone attacking. So
this coaching staff is going to earn its money in October and November, or there's going to be, I think, some unhappy people.
Yeah, and there already are.
Yeah.
We're already hearing from them. So anyway. We got Minnesota coming up in Beaver Stadium, Maryland in Beaver Stadium after that, and then a very well-needed bye week, so we'll see what develops. 2 wins against not very good teams, not great teams, could erase all this, but man, they've got some work to do just to keep this team emotionally ready to play, because this was a butt-kicking, we don't have to tell you. So that's it from Michigan Stadium, the Big House, 49-10, Michigan. Until next week, adios.